What is going on, guys? It's Mike from Powers Carvings and Crafts. I'm coming at you today with another video. We did it, guys. We finally did it. I have a knife that's kind of dull and I didn't sharpen it before I showed you guys. This is my Wüsthof 6-inch Icon Classic chef's knife. If you're looking for a good chef knife, these are really good. If you get the 8-inch one, you're looking at about 130. This one was 108. And then they have the Icon series, which is this one, the Classic Icon, and then they have the Classic series, which I have an 8-inch Classic, and that was like 98 bucks. So they are kind of expensive, but they're really good. So, the reason why this is dull, look at that. The reason why this is dull is because I left it over at my mother-in-law's house, and my sister-in-law was using it to cut sandwiches on ceramic plates. And was basically, they have one of those marble cutting boards. A little known fact about me is I love cooking, mostly because I get to use big fancy knives whenever I cook, but I love cooking and I love using the correct equipment for cooking. And just a little side note, don't use those big crappy stupid marble cutting boards. Wood, or if you need to, plastic. That's it. No glass, no marble. But anyway, it's dull. Not every part of it's dull. Okay, pretty much every part of it's dull. I can pretty much run my hand down that. So let's do paper test. And it'll still slice through that, no problem. But if we can focus on that, yeah, you see how it kind of just like rips through the paper instead of cuts through it cleanly. So it's time to touch this thing up. But what I wanted to do is, I added something to my sharpening routine. I added my Spyderco Sharp Maker honing rod. I'm going to go ahead and start using those. So, what I wanted to do is, I wanted to do about 10 passes per side on this first. I am going to give it a full sharpening, but I'm going to do 10 passes on the honing rod and then 10 passes per side on the strop, and I'm going to see if it brings it back. So let's do it real quick. And for those of you that are like, oh my god, he's cutting towards himself, well, I don't care if I cut my thumb off, so fuck you. And now this is kind of difficult because this is like an 8-inch stone. This is a 6-inch knife, so I'm having to really use a lot of brain power to not slice my thumb off or something. I haven't counted, and I know I said I was going to do 10, but I think I did 5 per side, and now I'm doing 5 alternating. So, this is a Spyderco Fine, and I used it on the corner. Now let's see. I mean, it brought it up a little bit. Now let's strop it. This is Bark River White compound that I'm using. I just got some Bark River compound in, so that is the compound that will be put on my strops from now on. No more Harbor Freight compound. We got some good compound, boys. We're stepping up in the world. Boys and girls, I'm sorry. Boys and girls and others. I'm trying to be all-inclusive here. I haven't been counting these ones either. I know I said I was going to do 10 strokes per side on the strop, but I lied to you guys. Alright, so let's see if that brought it back. Up here on the tip, it's a lot worse, but it really did bring back this bit here. It really brought that back. Up here, not really. So I won't even need to go to the coarse on this guy. The fine stone will be perfectly fine. And like I said, once you set your angle on your knife, you really shouldn't have to use the coarse side too much unless you get a really bad chip in the knife. But it really did kind of bring it back. I could totally just sharpen it on the ceramic rod and strop it, and I could 100% bring it back, no problem. But it has been, oh yeah, I can see the light reflecting off that guy real good. It has been probably a year since this thing's touched the stone. No, probably about 8 months since this thing's touched the stone. And it was hair popping sharp whenever I sharpened it the last time. So we're just gonna get it back to it. So you guys have seen this before. It's my coarse and my fine DMT stones glued to a block of wood. Let's go ahead and clean all that steel off there. And I use this dry. So this kind of be like a sharpening 101 again, guys. I do, this is like my 5th sharpening 101. But lay that knife down, raise that knife up until that edge just disappears on that stone. And then you're, with light pressure, run it towards you. Now this is a 6-inch chef's knife, French style chef's knife, so the angle's very acute. So you're not going to be doing a whole lot of distance underneath that spine on the stone. Let's see, did I raise a burr yet? I am chasing a burr on this one, just because, like I said, it's been so long since it's been sharpened. I want to refresh that apex really nicely. No burr yet, but I'm gonna switch and do an even amount on this side. So again, check it out, look at it, boom, edge disappears right there. Again, not a whole lot of pressure. If you want to use that Sharpie trick I showed you, you can. Like I said, I've been doing this for so long. It's like Jason Knight says in his Sharpening 101 video. He says, you know, good cook can tell you measurements, but they don't measure. You know, I can tell you what angle I'm sitting at, but I don't gauge angles. I just do it by feel. And I think the biggest problem with sharpening is people think it's hard, so it's hard. I know it's really stupid, but if you just think it's easy, it's easy. So we're gonna keep going. Always safety first. As you can see, my fingers aren't way up here, they're way down here. Sorry about that background noise, guys. I got my clothes going in the dryer right now. Hopefully you get some ASMR from the dryer noises and the knife sharpening. That knife's pretty close to my face. Some would say I'm unsafe. I just say that I live on the edge. My buddy's visiting in town. He thought that one was funny. Alright, so now that I have done an equal amount of passes each side, just to try and even that bevel up, now I'm going to chase that burr. I might be a little bit too high, but oh well. And I always tell everyone to go slow, but I'm a hypocrite. And I will speed up my sharpening process. Not because I love sharpening, it's like zen to me. It's not because I don't want to sharpen, it's just because if I can speed it up, make it faster, I will, you know. Okay, I'm feeling that burr. And all the burr is, for those of you that don't know, it's whenever you sharpen one side of the knife and it's going to push a curl of metal over to the other side. That means you fully push that side of that knife down to where it meets that other side and push metal over. You then are going to sharpen the other side until they meet, and then you push that back over the other side. That's how you know right underneath that burr you have a perfectly formed apex. So I'm feeling a little bit of that burr. I'm going to chase it just a little bit more. I should be counting, because I tell you guys to use a Sharpie and to count how many swipes you do per side. But again, I'm a hypocrite, so. But like I said, oh yeah, that's definitely a burr. Don't scratch your face with a knife in your hand either. Like I said, you know, they say a good cook, you know, they can give you measurements for a recipe, but they don't ever measure. The tips I give you guys are just, you know, a recipe for success whenever it comes to sharpening. And then you guys can just find something that works for you. What works for me is just kind of going for it and just letting my natural instincts for sharpening take over. Usually I can get a knife really, really sharp. Now if you want to geek out over it, you know, you can get your knives hair whittling sharp. But I don't know about you, but I don't whittle hairs in my day-to-day life, so I don't feel a need to get a knife that sharp. Okay, I didn't pop that burr back over down here. I can still feel it. That means I wasn't hitting the heel of the knife down here enough, so. Again, moderate pressure, nothing insane. You're not trying to bear down on the knife. And then whenever you get to that tip, as you can, if you've been watching my hand, I kind of roll it up like that. Just to follow that curvature of that edge. Okay, that burr's disappeared on this side. Oh yeah. Now that we've got that burr on both sides, we're gonna wipe off that stone on my jeans again. And light pressure. Just to help knock that burr off. Oh, it already bent it back over to the other side. I love that. And all we're doing here is we're weakening that burr, because sometimes whenever you form that burr and you try to do passes to knock it off, people will kind of just align that burr. That you'll still have a burr, but it'll just kind of align with your edge and it'll feel sharp, and then once you go to cut something, it's not that sharp because you didn't actually weaken that burr off. So all I'm doing now is 2 passes per side on each side. Just to weaken that burr. And eventually, after enough times of weakening that burr, it'll fall off. Now, how can you tell if your burr is falling off? I'll show you guys. So after we do 2 passes a bunch, 2 passes per side, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to feel and see if I have any sort of burr. Okay, I do a little bit. So what we're going to do now, because that burr has been weakened, is we're going to do 1 pass per side. So your back and forths, your 2 passes per side to weaken a burr, and then your 1 pass per side. Okay, now we're going to take a piece of wood and we're going to run the knife through it. And then we're going to feel for a burr again. Because of what that is doing is it's either going to rip off any remaining wire edge, or it's going to lay that burr over to one side or the other, and then you can abrade it off. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright. So I'm just going to do 2 passes per side. I don't normally do this. I don't normally strop before I go to my next step, but I'm going to use that ceramic rod. But I just want to show you guys how sharp this thing can get just after that fine stone. So I'm just going to do, we'll say 6 passes per side. So we stropped again, that's the Bark River White. Now, before we even go to the ceramic, let me show you. Insane. Insane. Come on. Beautiful. Okay. So, you saw how it was cutting in the beginning. You saw I was cutting after I tried to just hone it. And now, you see how it's cutting after that. Now, I almost don't want to do it, but I'm gonna. Ceramic rod. Very light pressure. And I'm just attempting to hold this at the same angle I sharpened at. Am I going to do it perfectly? Probably not. How do you know you're holding it at the right angle? Listen. Listen and look. If you're holding it too steep, it'll sound like I don't even know how to explain it. If you're holding it too narrow, it'll sound like it's resonating. If you hold it too steep, it'll sound like it's scraping. If you hold it at the right angle, it'll sound smooth. A lot of people don't talk about using your hearing whenever it comes to sharpening, but I do. Oh, too steep or too narrow. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna strop. Oh, hold on. Also, this ceramic rod is really good at breaking off a burr and leaving you with that really crisp apex. And ceramic rods just make it to where it's like you're afraid you're gonna cut your freaking finger. I've been experimenting with them the past couple weeks about just honing my knives in between sharpenings, you know, because I do heavy work with my knives at work, and it's been going pretty good. It'll actually give the edge some bite back without having to take it to a stone, because I just noticed that off of the diamond stone onto a strop, it just wasn't the level of sharpness that I wanted. Like, it had a lot of good bite, but whenever it came to trying to do push cuts through certain things, it just wasn't that great. So that's why I'm experimenting with the fine ceramic after the diamond. Okay, I don't know how many swipes I did there, but now let's check it out. It just falls through that crap, dude. Like, I don't even know. Weight of the knife. Let's see. That's just the weight of the knife. It's just crazy how sharp that is. A really good test for sharpness, if you have an extremely sharp knife, and usually it only works for thin knives, but is those, you know, cutting curves in the paper, like that. Yeah, guys, but what is that, less than 20 minutes? Less than 20 minutes, and this old Woo stuff is back to pristine condition. And this is just gonna slice a tomato so paper thin you can read a newspaper through it, or slice an onion so cleanly, sweet potatoes, carrots, it's just it's like scary sharp. So, and it still has really nice bite to it, even off of that fine ceramic and onto the strop. So I appreciate you guys watching this. Again, don't think sharpening is hard. Sharpening is easy. Once you start believing it's easy, then it gets easy for you. Don't worry too much about angles. If you're 1 degree off, too high or too low, it's not going to hurt anything. If you're really afraid about it, use the Sharpie. But just get to sharpening, guys. Get sharp knives. Quit having dull knives. I'm tired of it. Alright, I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.